listening to New Soundwave with your hosts, John DeLuna, Brian Kilby, XV, Lady Rick, Weebum, with Rob Springer.
Hey everybody, it's your old friend John DeLuna. It is New Soundwave 56. Man, time flies, huh? Time flies. With me this week is Brian, Peter, AKK Weebum, and XV, our favorite XV of all the XVs out there.
Yes.
How you guys doing?
I'm awesome.
Yes, wave to the camera for all our live viewers. Very nice, very nice. So this week on New Soundwave, we're going to talk a lot about the PlayStation and Sony, possibly the PSP phone. The PSP2 technology has been leaked. The PlayStation phone may have been videotaped.
Wow.
In Greece. And then we're going to talk about the Xbox reward system, and arcades are going to be the topic of the day because, as we all know, or we thought we knew, arcades were still popular in Japan, but are they really? And if they die in Japan, what's left, buddy? What's left? It's going to be a sad day, sad face if arcades go away. Anyway, so on to the news. So a couple weeks back, actually further than that, several months ago, we first started hearing rumblings that Microsoft was interested in streaming television on the Xbox Live. And it turns out that now there are rumors spreading that Microsoft has met with content providers. So, you know, HBO, Showtime, maybe some others, about possibly offering streaming TV episodes, of course, for an extra $1 or $2 a month.
They do it already.
On Xbox Live.
There's already streaming stuff on 360.
I think this is going to be like a television channel, basically.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth.
I have ESPN3. Do I need anything else?
A couple.
Yeah,
well, that brings up a good question. I mean, is this even like relevant? Is this like a relevant idea at this point, or have they been kind of beaten to the chase?
Well, I mean, maybe people have gone to the whole internet distribution, but how many set-top boxes are out there? I mean, what is more prevalent than the 360? Mm-hmm. As far as like media devices goes?
That's true.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, in the chat, Netflix, that kind of thing.
Netflix is great.
Hulu Plus, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So, like I teased in the earlier, the PlayStation phone. We've heard about rumblings. We've heard rumblings. We've seen possible prototypes. Now it appears, and we'll tweet this, it appears that it's been videotaped in Greece. And so, basically, just to describe it, Engadget has reported that it was sighted, and now it's been videotaped. Like I said, we'll tweet about the minute-long videotape of somebody just kind of jamming on this touchscreen phone. It has distinctive PSP curves. It's kind of got the silhouette of a PSP. It's reportedly been named the Sony Ericsson Z1. It's got a 4-inch touch panel, and it runs on Gingerbread, Android 3.1.
Neat.
2.3.
So,
yeah, 2.3.
Yeah, 2.3.
I've heard people call it 3.0, and I've heard people say 2.3, but it's 2.3.
It was originally 3.0, but then it turns out it's instead of it being a complete overhaul, it's iterative, and now Honeycomb is supposed to be 3.0.
Interesting. So, and here's where it gets even more interesting. So, Engadget has defended its sources as, quote, most definitely real. And one Sony representative called this like fake, like just outright fake. And then later, the Sony Ericsson CEO said, well, there's a lot of smoke, and I'll tell you that there must be a fire somewhere. So,
yeah,
I don't know what that means, but it's certainly not a denial. So it's gonna be interesting, and it comes from the CEO, which is kind of weird. So he didn't shoot down that rumor. So it's possible that we're looking at a PlayStation phone. Again, who knows if this is going to be a success? But it's a cool video to look at. Cool, awesome spy video to look at. Staying on the Sony front, Sony looks like it's starting to patent some technology for the PSP2, specifically what they call, let's see here, quote, handheld device with 2-finger touch-triggered selection and transformation of active elements. So basically, a 2-finger touchscreen is what they're trying to...
That's what she said.
Patent. Yes, that's what she said. Yes, and if we take it there, then the PSP2 may actually sell if we market it like that, a 2-finger touchscreen device. So interesting stuff. We'll see if this relates actually to the PSP2. I'm sure within the next couple months, actually. One interesting note is that this looks to be a screen that's about an inch bigger than the current PSP screen, which I think it feels huge. Still feels really big to me.
They can probably make the actual hardware smaller, though, because, of course, we've had 5 years of technological advances. I mean, you look how small, like, a 4.3-inch phone is. I mean, it's all screen. So, I mean, the PSP, as it is, has a lot of extra hardware around it where they can sort of shrink that down. Which is probably the reason they're looking at having the actual pad on the back, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but they can actually make the hardware small enough now because of, the transistors are smaller and closer together and everything.
Locked in a laboratory somewhere, Sony has got a fleet of scientists working on improving the flexible LCD screen technology to where it's useful for video gaming.
It'd be neat if you could have that as a watch with, like, the band and everything's screen. You have it around your wrist, and, you can play it from... I think that would be neat.
Someday.
I like.
Real quick hit here. If you're a fan of Arkham Asylum, you are not alone. If you were hoping in the sequel they were going to have vehicles, I've got bad news for you. There's going to be no vehicles in Arkham City, which is kind of a bummer. But there's always Arkham City 2, I guess. But yes, no Batmobile, no Batboat, no Batplane. So sad.
I guess it kind of makes sense, though, because instead of, driving, a good driving component isn't that easy. So
that's true, and it can be almost distracting.
There's
Exactly.
also a logistical problem with that. In your Grand Theft Autos, if you wreck your car, you can just go grab another one.
Yeah, Batman's
If
not
you
going to
wreck
do that.
the Batmobile, I'm not exactly sure what you would do in context of the game.
Easy. You carjack a henchman for the Joker and steal his.
But that's not a Batmobile anymore.
And probably the big reason there's no vehicles is because they're not trying to sell toys. They're trying to sell the game.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell being Batman.
So, yeah, there's not going to be Batman in 15 different costumes that, like Undersea Batman and Space Batman and,
That would be fantastic, though.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Speaking
of, Brian or Peter XV, have you guys played the Brave and the Bold game?
No, I want to. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I played about 20 minutes of it. I sat down at a friend's house and actually played a little bit of it. It's fun. It's not the deepest thing. You wouldn't expect it to be. But, I mean, it looks fantastic. It plays pretty solid. It's pretty good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good, actually, when you think about it. Because it's got no right. Like, it has no right to be good. I mean, it would be perfectly expected if it would be just, like another crappy game based on a TV show or a movie.
Having not played it,
not.
Having not played it and only seen screenshots, it reminds me of Astro Boy for the Game Boy Advance, the one that Sega did. That was so great.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've never played that game, but I clearly remember like footage of it, and yeah, it's got that same kind of feel. Absolutely. Here's another story that I think we'll tweet because this has a cool visual attached to it. So the Air Force is saving money, saving taxpayer money by buying nearly 2,000 PlayStation 3s, duct taping them together, and using them basically as a supercomputer.
They better not update the OS, the firmware, because if they do that, they can't run Linux, and this will crash.
Right. Yeah, then you're gonna have to check on eBay for 2,000 PlayStation 3s sold by the U.S. government. So
government has some people who can hack the firmware if they need to.
Probably.
I would hope so. But yes, so they took about 2,000, give or take, PlayStation 3s, strapped them together, and they're using it as what they call the Condor cluster. Basically, an extremely powerful computer. But here's the kicker. They estimate that this thing costs about $2 million to put together, which sounds like a lot, but it's only 5 to 10% the cost of an equally powerful system if it was built out of computer components. So there you go. How about that? And it only consumes 10% of the energy.
This is like that Snopes story about Saddam Hussein importing PS2s, but it's real.
Yeah.
Yes, but this is real. It's real because we have a photo.
Yeah.
And if they want to watch Blu-ray, they don't have to buy an extra Blu-ray.
That is true, and that screen does look
Yes.
pretty sweet. So
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, yeah. The best part of this picture is 2,000 PlayStation 3s and what looks to be maybe a 50-inch plasma monitor.
Perfect.
Just kind of sitting in front.
Perfect. I have seen these before. Not PS3s racks, but just random 50-inch televisions on these racks. It's just like on that little stand, they just roll around and they use it for.
I'd love to
Nice.
have that.
yeah,
Nice,
I got a
nice.
crummy 32-inch TV.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Another
I
good
think
story.
Knife into Brian's back, all that much more.
Another good story that I think we'll tweet because we'll give the viewers time to kind of digest the story. Really interesting story that Peter found on composers finding video games as like the new medium to work in, which is really interesting. And when you think about it, these days modern games basically have like a movie's budget. They also have movies' expectations as far as like performance goes. So they're getting a lot of real talent as far as like music composers. And they talk a lot in this article about Epic Mickey. They kind of focus on that, which is getting kind of okay reviews.
lukewarm.
Yeah, it's
think
getting lukewarm reviews. Yeah.
But this is an interesting story, and like I said, it ties into a very topical game, Epic Mickey. And like we said, the reviews on that game have basically been, if it interests you, play it, and if it doesn't, you're not going to miss a lot. Also, again, I'll go back to the weird kind of aspect of Epic Mickey where the creator has like refused to like acknowledge Kingdom Hearts like exists or ever happened. So everything he talks about when it comes to Epic Mickey, he talks about it being like the first. So it's like the first time we've taken Disney kind of like in a dark direction.
Mickey Mousecapade is plenty dark.
So I mean, it's just kind of weird, kind of odd.
Is Kingdom Hearts a dark game?
Not really.
It's not. I mean, it's not. It's not dark, I would say, but it's also
It's as dark as a game starring a homoerotic kid with a big key.
Oh, okay. Like I, whenever I think of Kingdom Hearts, I always think about you running around with a giant sword like Final Fantasy VII, and as you hack your enemies, little hearts come out.
Yeah, it's
pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate.